Okay. Hey, this is a mental podcast. I have Mari here, and I wear my bathrobe because I realized we are both wear black on top of dark sofa, so we don't show on this sofa anymore. They have like a bathrobe, very bling.
Sorry, is that mental podcast or a mental health podcast?
Mental.
So I need to be a
Both.
both.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have Mari here. Mari, who are you? Where are you from?
Who am I? That's a very existential question. I guess I'm a comedian. Yeah. I went to my gynecologist for the first time. Not for the first time, but for the first time I wrote down in an intake form that I'm a comedian as like my occupation. It felt like a milestone. Yeah, and then she immediately tested me for chlamydia because I look like a massive legend.
So do you have chlamydia?
I don't. Turns out I am really boring. But I'm a comedian. I am based in Germany. I'm from Estonia originally. Yeah, so super exciting.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I met a few Estonian comedians.
Really?
Yeah, why all of them are funny? Like, what's the reason? Is it because of coldness and the potatoes?
I mean, that is a very, very nice thing for you to say about us. And I'm not going to dispute that on record. I'm just
like,
gonna...
everyone is good, but like this Jason guy, like, totally suck. It's a joke.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, Jason is not an Estonian name, so like, get your facts straight. No, I think it's the post-communist trauma and poverty. Yeah.
Yeah, you need a little bit humor to
You need a bit of humor,
that.
exactly.
But why Germans aren't funny?
Because only half of them have post-communist trauma.
Yeah. Cool.
So maybe half of them are funny. Well.
Yeah, so I think it's funny. Like we met this year in Edinburgh Festival.
No, we didn't actually.
Yeah. Anyway, I met her this year in Edinburgh Festival. I booked her on my show, and as soon as I see her perform, I went, "What the fuck? This woman is so funny." I'm like, I was like really, really mad because I knew her name from previous festival already. But I just never talked with her. And I was just feel so regret. I was like, how could I not meet you earlier, previous years? You're so funny.
Yeah, we did actually. Yeah, that's the thing. So Moni was like, I'm so sorry. Why haven't we, like, I'm so sad that we haven't met before. And I was like, Moni, we did like 6 shows together the year before. So maybe not all Estonian comedians are immediately funny.
No, I didn't remember you as a person.
Thank you. Oh my God, thank you. That validates me and my craft so much.
And now you are based in
Cologne. Yeah.
What brought you to Cologne?
An accident. Yeah. I didn't. Yeah, I did. I never thought I would live in Germany, but I ended up there because actually my mental health was shit. And I was searching for ways out, and I was pursuing a different career, and the opportunities in Cologne were sort of most promising at the time. So I went for a year, and then when my life fell apart back home again afterwards, then I went back, and then I found out that therapy is free in Germany. So I was like, I might as well do that.
So what was your mental issues?
So I was trying very hard to become an opera singer for 8 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes, but I had a lot of voice issues.
Passion?
Yeah.
Were you rich back home? No. Then why do you learn opera?
Because in Eastern Europe, poor people can do art still.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Not for long. That, curve has been taken already. So it's becoming more and more elitist. But yeah, it is still accessible. Art is still accessible for most people. to pursue. And I come from a family where we've had singers in my family before, and I thought that would be a cool thing. And people kept telling me that I had a lot of potential. But then after 8 years, I was like, well, is the potential ever going to realize?
You mean 8 years is the study plus later, or only the after study?
No, 8 years was what I studied.
8 years?
8 years, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 schools and then 2 years of independent study. Yeah.
Wow.
So I have a bachelor's degree after 8 years. Some people get a doctorate, but I got a bachelor's degree.
Why after 8 years a bachelor?
Because that's how I went about it. It's I did a 3-year course as a sort of introduction. I did 3 years in bachelor's, and I did 2 years of independent study with private teachers, which that bit is very expensive. Very expensive.
And then what happened then?
Well, I not physically, but not literally, but quite literally hit a wall. I felt at one point where just nothing. I think I was very disassociated in general about things, and I just didn't know what was happening all of a sudden. And so because mental health is not accessible in most parts of Eastern Europe. Definitely in Estonia. Also, a bunch of Estonians are going to be very mad at me for calling it Eastern Europe, but it is.
They eat potatoes.
Ireland eats potatoes. They are not Eastern Europe. People that eat potatoes just used to be very poor. Like I feel like that's what it is. But yeah, most of Eastern Europe, it's potatoes and cabbage. Yeah. If you eat a lot of cabbage, then you're probably in Eastern Europe.
You are vegans.
We're not vegan. No, I am.
No, if they eat lots of potato and cabbage, they can be Eastern European or they can be vegans.
Yes, true. That is true. And I'm both. So, yeah, double whammy. But it basically, in the end, I found a private teacher instead of a therapist. And then I spent thousands and thousands of euros on a private teacher. And most of the time I just spoke to him, and he was a therapist of sorts. And then finally I realized that this thing is never going to happen, and I found comedy instead, because comedy is a lot easier. Yeah.
And then what made you? What's the trigger that you moved to like Cologne?
Because I had connections there. So I had friends who were like, hey, there's this one teacher here, and he might be really useful because he's helped us a lot. And so I went for like 5 weeks. I realized that it was going to be really, really good for me.
You mean a teacher? What, opera teacher?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went for a year. I had a full-time job in order to afford it all. And I took lessons, and I sort of tried to get on with that. But then I had to go back home to finish my degree, and that 1 year back home was also really detrimental to my mental health, because a bunch of different circumstances were just like really dragging me down. And then afterwards I just thought, okay, I'm going to go back to where I actually felt good. I'm going to go back to what felt like it was working. And so I went back to Cologne and found English comedy in Germany. Yeah.
And that's how many years ago?
That was 5 years ago. Yeah.
And how is the situation with opera now?
There isn't a situation. Yeah. And
regarding your mental health, what then happened?
Well, I now have some. That's good. So I moved back just over 5 years ago, which was September 2019. And I was super broke and super confused as of how I can make things happen. And so I started working any kind of job that I could find, because I don't speak German, so I had to find things in English. And right as I was about to get on my feet, right as I had also found comedy and done my first gigs, then obviously, thank you, people. Oh God, that's so no. This was a really bad joke. But then the pandemic happened, right? And so then I was kind of locked in Cologne. And during that time, I found out that if you have health insurance in Germany, you can get into therapy that is covered by insurance. Yeah. And so then I found a therapist who helped me through that bit of time. But then I realized that my therapist was German.
What did you didn't realize that before?
Well, no, I knew, but I was just like ignoring the fact because I really was in need of help.
And was it behavior or was it?
I have no fucking idea. I sat there and I talked to her. I have no idea.
Okay, and did she teach you the tools
Well, she made me talk to stones on the table for a bit, which sounds really kooky, but it kind of helps. And like I wrote a bit about it that like my therapist for 2 years just kept telling me that all of my problems would go away if I learned German.
Oh, you know what? Like really, I am at a support group now. They talk about their experience with some doctors. I need you to know, because someone has a medical degree doesn't mean they are nice people.
Yeah.
Okay. Once I was so suicidal, like 5-6 years ago, I was like wanting to kill myself. And then I couldn't sleep for 2 weeks. I went to my house arrest.
Mm-hmm.
I went there and he prescribed me, instead of telling me you actually need to go to see a psychiatrist or whatever, he didn't tell me any of this. He just prescribed me some sleeping pills, which was really bad.
When you're suicidal, yeah, that's not great.
Anyway, and while he's prescribing me sleeping pills, he said, do you speak German? I said, no. He said, of course you are depressed if you don't speak German in Germany.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah. No, that was fun. And then the second thing that she told me was that I should try lesbianism. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you try?
I'm still thinking about it. Like I'm like maybe like out of those two options, the lesbianism is definitely more likely. Like definitely, yeah. But then again, my sexuality I would describe is that I am barely sexual. So I can identify as anything because I just, in the end of the day, just
tired.
Don't have sex with anybody. So if it's one gender or all of the genders, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it was. But no, actually, for a while she was actually really helpful. But I just realized that at one point we reached like a plateau where I was like, okay, now I need to maybe try some different approaches, which I still haven't done. But you know how it is. Like I'm a relatively stoic person if I have to be, and as long as things are going well professionally and sort of in my personal life, then I'm fine, you know. Then I'm like, I don't need help because I get to go and talk to people on stage at night, and they are there to listen, and they actually pay me,
and they really care.
And they really care. Sometimes they even engage with my Instagram stories. So #blessed. Yeah. But no, it's. I think everybody should try therapy, even if you don't think that you need it. Especially if you don't think you need it, because people who think they don't need it the most normally. Yeah.
I think the therapy is also like it's also like dating. You can't just go to one date and then decide that dating is not for you.
True.
Yeah.
Yes. But if in the entire city there are only 3 people you could potentially date, because they are willing to speak in a language that you understand, then it becomes like an arranged marriage. That therapist, you know. Yeah.
I feel it's funny. I feel Germany is where opera singers come to do comedy.
I mean, there's like 2 of us.
No, there's Adam also.
Oh, okay. Sorry. There are 3 of us.
And there's another one, there's another lady. She is not comedy, but she doing funny burlesque.
Okay.
She was also come here to fulfill her dream to become an opera singer.
Yeah, a lot of people come to Germany to be opera singers because there are still places that employ opera singers here. In very many places there are just no places left. But then most of us end up working in, like, I don't know, HR or something. Yeah.
And what do you do now?
well, my main focus is pursuing comedy and producing comedy and performing and touring. That's what I mainly try to do, and then wherever I can get more money, then I can get more money, and then that's good.
Wow, that's such a comedian life.
That is, the hustle is real. Yeah. And I mean, all art forms are becoming more and more elitist in the sense that there are more and more art forms where people know that in order to do them, they also have to have like a responsible career choice.
Yeah.
And I never studied anything useful. Like I have never done anything useful. So
is there any way to do opera in another way? Like to,
I think, like, not to sing it.
Not in an opera house, but still use the skills to make money somehow.
Well, most people teach, but I was never actually.
So this sounds like multi-level marketing.
It really is, yeah. You basically produce more mediocre opera singers just so that you can pay your bills. But I was never properly good, so it's fine. It's fine.
How do you know you are not good?
Well, because I never got anywhere with it. Do you know how much more money I've made from comedy already than I ever I think I got paid to sing twice in 8 years. So already like.
But do you really believe you are not good, or it's just this industry is very hard?
I think both are true. The industry is very, very hard, and I think I was never, because I've always been a clown anyways.
Yeah.
So I think it was a good path for me to take, because it meant that when I got to comedy, I already had the skills to be on stage. I didn't have anxiety about being on stage. I had, I knew kind of how to behave. I just had to be funny. And not accidentally, but on purpose.
And do you have any like a plan? Maybe later do some content, combine comedy and opera, or opera is like or is opera something you can't make money from it? Is something you still want to use the skill somehow, or you are like, no, that's my painful past, I don't know what to do anything?
No, it was maybe painful at first when I realized that I probably should give it up, that I didn't have it in me to fight the fight, to actually muddle through that and get somewhere. It's not painful. I'm really happy. I'm actually really happy that I did it. I met a bunch of really cool people through that, and had very, very great times as well as really, really difficult times. But in my head, those two things, so comedy and music, they live on separate planes, or they are separate gears that my brain has to be in. So for me, I can't see a way for them to come together through me. I love when other people do it, because it is really good and really, really fun to watch. But it's not where my head works best. Yeah. And
if you have contact with opera now, do you feel painful? Is something you want to avoid?
No. I haven't been to an opera in really years. But I listen to it. I listen to classical music still, of course. Yeah. I use classical music, and I actually did sing on stage. So one of my Edinburgh Fringe shows finished with a song. So I did actually sing on stage, which felt very weird the first few days, and then it was fine. And then we use classical music in the show and stuff. So no, I'm very fine with it. I'm genuinely fine.
Yeah. You when you came, when I was making coffee for you, do you like the coffee?
Very good coffee.
She has no other option to say it's great.
It is good though.
When you were asking about me, about the festival and everything, it's something very new to me, is that after Edinburgh, we were meeting very often there.
Yeah.
I was really, really work until the point of collection.
Well, yes. I mean, you had 8 projects?
No, it was 7, then cancelled a few in the middle,
Yeah.
But it was maybe on average 5, 6.
Yeah, that's too many.
Yeah. Later I realized I was in a manic episode.
Right.
Yeah. So and then dig into deeper why I was so manic is that I realized the comedy, like producing, hosting, is not really working. Like money wise, it's getting less. But then on the other hand, I also feared like anyway. So I think deeper in me, I wanted to find a way out. So I was just trying really hard and getting manic. And I was physically really sick also. Then after the fringe, I completely collapsed. It took me 1 month to realize I am having a burnout from comedy. And at the beginning, I was really scared. I was like, I thought I cannot do comedy ever anymore. But then I tried. I was lucky. I got a book to open for like some big American comedians. So I was booked before I realized the burnout thing. So I still need to go through practice for this set. And while practicing, I realized the thing I'm really resisting is not performing, but it's the producing and the hosting. Like because I was hosting like at the peak in Berlin, I was like doing like 22 shows like producing and hosting a month. And I just feel when I look back, I realize at the beginning it was fun, a new skill. But then after like a few years, I don't feel artistically satisfied. Because when you're producing host so much, you also don't have energy to go out to do open mics. But then when you are doing your own show, you don't have the space to really like being creative, because you are so caring, like your attention is everywhere. You just want the show to kill. And after a few years, I just feel artistically I'm not satisfied. I feel happy about my own stuff, and I am not experimenting enough. And then with the producing stuff, I realized I'm not the most sociable person already, because I have ADHD. Like I grew up without any friends, blah blah blah. So and it's already. Huh? Yeah.
No, I just didn't have any friends. Big deal.
Yeah, because like I feel like in the past I always want to tell oh, I have a horrible childhood, I was bullied, I was alone, whatever. But lately I'm thinking like I watch lots of true crime documentaries. Also, there are people there like they were raped by their parents. There are people there like their loved ones were killed. There are people there like so many things. So no big deal. Like
first world problem.
Yeah, nothing is perfect. So anyway, so I am not the most like sociable person already, but then when you produce, it just put you in an inherently opposite side of other comedians. And like there are always comedians cancelled. Like statistically, there are always people behave not respectful. There are always people like create lots of trouble. There are always people like they deny your effort. There's always like people like all kinds of things. Then after like 3 years do this so intensively, I realized that I hate everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just took you 3 years. Fuck, you're slow.
I just realized it. Like
I just kind of I hate everybody, but like in secret. I just go home and then I'm like, they don't know.
Yeah, I just realized like I don't like myself anymore, because I'm so bitter. I'm so angry all the time. I get peace all the time.
Yeah.
And I just realized it's not healthy for me. So beginning of last month, October, I decided, okay, I quit all my projects. I gave all my projects to different people, And now I'm just not doing anything but learning German.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I passed B2 last week, and
Wow.
I'm doing C1 this month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so my question is, I feel like right now I'm in a process, in a phase, is that you say you don't feel you were very good at opera, and before comedy I had a career, and but when the comedy happened, I realized I was never good at what I did. Like I always can get good offer, good company, I can good review, but something deep in me, I knew I was faking. Like I knew like lots of things I don't understand. And there were many times, very often I just sit in front of a computer, don't know what to do. And I very often feel I'm stupid. And then I think, and then growing up, I was told like all my like life previously, like I'm not smart, I'm not talented. My mom told me, oh, you are not talented like me, you are not smart like me. The only way for you to be out in this life is through hard working. And like that's like a communism. Yeah, and this kind of things,
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
And then when I started to do comedy, it's that moment immediately I knew I have talent. Like this feeling is so powerful, because at that time I was 28 years old. It's the first time in my life I feel I have this power in my hand, and I like it's undeniable for me at least. Like I really believe it. Yeah. And then when I quit the job to do comedy full time, I was very successful. And then I was like, the narrative become, it took me 28 years to find the thing I'm good at, talented about, and now I can do this full time, and I'm so happy I'm on top of the world. And I really believe this is my way going forward. And then when the burnout happened, I just feel like I can relate to when you like opera thing. I'm now just it's very new to me, right? It only happened a month. I just feel like it's not only that the fact I can't do producing, hosting anymore, but it's also like it's also my self-definition and my perception in future completely changed. Because now I'm like, who am I? Like, what I'm going to do? What's my relationship with comedy? I still like performing, but then on the other hand, I also like, something happened last year. A very trusted comedian and a friend like said something to me, like in the heat of the moment. They told me, they said, you are rude, you hurt people are talking shit behind your back. Like I was in an environment that I was bullied a lot, and it was already very hard for me to be among people. And then after I heard this, it's just like the beast in me just jump out, and to just like, I was right the whole time. Everyone hates you. She said that, it's confirmed. So this just get done on top of like I hate everyone through producing. This just like, the interaction becomes so toxic. Like when I'm at shows, like I just feel so uncomfortable. Even it's not my show, I went to other people's show. Like I get so pissed when like other comedians disrespectful at the show, like disturb the audience, disturb the comedian on stage. I get just so angry. And then I get angry by me getting angry at other people. And then at one point it's just unbearable. I have to run out. Yeah. And so I'm now at a point I just don't know if I can just performing. For sure I can perform in Edinburgh, but the performing in Berlin, I'm not sure I have the mental capacity to do it, because the social anxiety has become so bad. Like when I go to a show, I just feel so mentally and physically like on the edge and uncomfortable, and I constantly want to hide. So I want to ask about you is like, how did you? I don't know if I still like I have a holiday plan until like next month until January, so I take a break to see, but there is a chance I have to accept there is a chance I might have to give up comedy. But the thing is, how did you narrative, like how did you tell the story to you with your relationship with Oprah? Like is, I don't know my question. Do you understand it?
Yeah, I do. Hang on. I'm going to have to put my phone on silent because I'm so popular. People keep fucking messaging me. So annoying. Well, yeah, I like so much of what you're saying I can relate to. And I also think that being in the middle of the whole thing, things always feel a lot more permanent than they probably end up being. And I like I've had emotionally the time, so like I get depressed very easily. Like I have depressive cycles. My therapist at the time, sort of when she diagnosed me, told me that I had episodic depression, right? So you sort of spiral, because I thought that I was bipolar for a while, because I was like, well, something is wrong. Yeah. But then those episodes, they can swap around really quickly. Yeah, right? Yeah. So like you start spiraling, something goes wrong, you start spiraling, and then like you have to find a catalyst or something to like start climbing out again, right? Yeah. So for me then, like, you know, getting into daylight and like I take some supplements and shit like that. So whenever I'm in the spiral, whenever I'm in the like the darkest dark, that is when your that is when the rational understanding of where your line is between actual like as objective as you can be yourself, my objective view of self and my disturbing thoughts, like the sort of self-hatred which most people have, women probably more prominently than men because we are socialized in a certain way. It becomes the reality, right? I feel like your level of self lowers into the really unhealthy mud of like self-hatred, and then you're like, well, these thoughts about me, they are actually true because they feel the realest, they feel the strongest, and I've just been like, I've been convincing myself that I am better than I actually am, that I'm worth more than I actually am, but this is my reality. And so I know whenever I start thinking that, I'm like, I've lowered, and this is actually not like an acceptable place to be, right? But when you're there, then like the walls start like closing in, and it becomes really difficult to see a way forward, right? In regards to me, like swapping careers, in a way, it was very gradual. In a way, it was good that it happened during the pandemic because the world was stopping and upside down and really unusual to begin with. So I feel like so many people took a breather, and that's something I struggle with. But I have FOMO, but not socially but professionally. So I feel like if I stop, and this is unhealthy and I shouldn't have that, but I haven't had really big burnout from this yet, so I'm gonna keep going until then. I know that it's unhealthy, but I'm gonna do it. Where I'm like, if nobody else is taking time out, I can't take time out because they are gonna get ahead and I'm gonna be left behind. Which is not true. It's not true. I objectively know this. Emotionally, that's just how it is. So it was really good that it happened in the pandemic because everybody had time off. Everybody was on a timeout, and so many people like rearranged and rethought and restructured their lives and the view that they had for the future and all that stuff. So I don't know how it would have gone if it was during like a normal time.
So we did good.
Yeah, we did good. Yeah.
I mean, we Chinese, like the...
You did good. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, eat more crazy shit, please. God, no. Yeah, so it was it was good that it happened then. So it was like a very, it was emotionally very loaded this entire time, and it was heavy, and that's how I ended up in therapy and all of that stuff. But yeah, I don't know, actually, I have to answer your question, because I am really happy with how things turned out. I am genuinely, at this point in time, I am genuinely like hopeful and active, and I'm working hard. And something that you said about, you know, like your mum telling you these horrible things. I love when women, specifically, when women find their way into creative, expressive fields, because sooner or later there's a bunch of guys on the internet or in real life who are just going to start shitting on them and telling horrible things to them. And it's like, and to a point, as long as I'm feeling emotionally healthy, I'm just like, oh, you're adorable. You know, do you actually think that anything you could tell me my mother hasn't, or my grandmother, or myself? Like, the most horrendous comments that you can leave on the internet, I tell myself things that are 8 times worse just before breakfast. You know? So, but of course, if it's really repetitive and it happens and it's piled on, then it's gonna completely erode any confidence that you have. But yeah, it was just like a cute moment of like, yeah, I recognize this, like, because people who love us just think that they need to prepare us for the real world.
Yeah.
You need to be this, and you need to be this, and if you're not this, you need to compensate that.
Yeah, like they have such weird like thoughts. For example, my mom, she's fucking crazy. You know, like her brother, son is handicapped, and she is also handicapped, and at one point, my brother in China, like there's lots of discrimination. So my cousin met a girl. They are dating. They are very happy, and my mom believed that there's a high chance this will not come into fruition, in aka being married or whatever.
Yeah.
So in order to prepare him, she keep telling him, it will not work out. She will leave you, and you're heartbroken. And keep saying this, and saying this on people's face. I was like, why the fuck are you doing this? She said, if I don't tell him this now, later when she leaves him, he will commit suicide. I was like, so you want him to commit suicide now?
Now, before she goes.
Yeah. I was like, how sick is this?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And he's. She'll leave you. It will not go away. But they are married for like almost 10 years now. And
she still doesn't stop. They've been married for 10 years and she's still
no.
Not anymore. Okay.
But the thing is, like, this is the twisted idea.
If they ever get divorced, she's gonna be like, I knew all along. You should have listened to me.
It's just so fucking weird. And she believes she's doing a good thing.
Yeah.
And then my cousin's mom, like my uncle's wife, really hates her. And my mom didn't understand why. I was like, you don't understand why? Like, you don't understand. Normal people will be mad by saying these things. She's like, no, I was doing a good thing. I was helping him. Like fucking crazy people, you know.
Okay. Yeah. Cute. Very cute. Not mindful, not demure, but pretty cute. Yeah. No, it's. I mean, everybody has strong opinions about stuff, right? It's just recognizing, you know.
I think it's just like a intergenerational trauma. Like, she has this because she went through lots of things, and. That's her way of self-protection, and she wants pass her wisdom to the next generation. But it's just it's another way of trauma.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And do you want children one day?
No.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to not pass on the trauma.
Yeah. And because I worked with kids for like 10 years. I worked with kids all through my 20s. I was an au pair, I was a nanny, I was a children's entertainer. I did a bunch of stuff. I work for a company that is in sleep coaching. So like
that sounds like
oh my god, I've read so many horrendous, like hellish emails of like, my 8-month-old hasn't slept more than 2 hours their entire life, and I'm like, yeah, why would I do that?
Yeah.
So no, I think that I know a lot about the reality of raising children, and I was a kindergarten teacher as well. That was tough. So I feel like if I ever had like a debt, you know, a sociological debt to society, I've already paid that because I've passed on so much of my knowledge and stuff to other people's children. And I also know that I would probably be quite good at being a mum because I do try to be as self-conscious as possible and like improve myself as a human being, and not get comfortable in where I am, because I think that's the only way to understand how the world is moving, the changes that, you know, we're seeing, the positive and the negative, and to make sure that, you know, I am trying to leave the world better than I found it. I am still quite idealistic about the fact that we all have an impact. So I think in many ways I would be a great parent, but I just also know that I would really find it quite annoying.
Yeah.
And so I genuinely don't think that I'm going to do that. There are so many more things that I find so much more fulfilling.
Yeah. And you said that you have like episodes of depression.
Yeah.
How do you know it's not bipolar? I mean bipolar 2.
Well, I just trust the mental health professionals that I've come across, and also because those episodes, as I said, like they can change, like it can flip literally in a matter of a day or two.
That's me too.
Oh, really?
I'm bipolar too, but and it took many years to diagnose.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, but whatever it is, you know, I now have quite a good scope of how to deal with it. I also, obviously, I'm from a really dark place, so like seasonal depression is something that, you know, I always have. So I like take supplements for that and things like that. So sort of self-medicate.
And then besides the depression, like you said, you have like in Edinburgh, you talk about the anxiety.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people have. I mean, the world is absolutely shit. If you don't have anxiety and like fear in the space that we live in, you are part of the problem. You know, like it's fucking terrifying. So many things. So I think if you don't feel any sorts of anxiety, you probably aren't paying attention. You know, but yeah, obviously as a performer, there are times where you're also just like very, very worried about if it's gonna go well. There's so much unknown. There is so much of like putting yourself out there, which in terms of like evolutionary practices goes completely against the grain, because for survival, for the sort of, you know, the caveman brain, you need to blend in. You need to be one of the herd. You need to not stand out. You can't be the best. You can't be the worst. You have to be somewhere in the middle, because that means you're not going to get eaten by a lion, you know? And so being in a field where the only thing that's going to get you ahead is being seen repetitively by a lot of people already like goes against that, I feel. So that also definitely creates things like, okay, how's it? Am I going to be fine? Am I going to get, you know,
Are you more anxious or more depressed?
Depends on how much coffee I've had.
But in a long...
Today, this is my second, so I think today anxiety wins. I actually don't know.
What's the typical anxiety voice in you?
Just really deep self-doubt, I think. Just like, everybody's gonna hate you. It's gonna be awful. You're gonna fail. You're gonna just, you know.
Do you believe like you are talented? Do you believe you are funny?
Yes, but saying that out loud feels really wrong. Because I'm just like, no, it's just people need to tell me that they think I'm talented.
I see that.
I don't have it in me to actually say it.
I only book people I really feel.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
I live for external validation. That's something that I never got rid of in therapy as well. I need external validation.
Yeah. Me too.
Really bad.
Like yesterday, I was having dinner with Tyrone. You know Tyrone, and he's like, "Why you care about other people's ideas or opinion about you?" I'm like, "Because I was never loved. That's why."
Because you've been socialized as a woman.
Yeah.
In a patriarchal society.
Yeah.
That's like, sorry not to be like on a feminist rant, but like, it's the root of all evil.
Yeah. No, there's other evils.
There are other evils, but it's a bad one. It's a pretty big one.
And so
I literally saw a video yesterday of like children, like an experiment on children, like 5-year-olds, where 5-year-old girls were given like jellos that were made with salt instead of sugar. So they were like salty, kind of, obviously didn't taste good. But they framed it as like, oh my God, look, I made this lovely thing for you. And they all were like, oh my God, that's so yummy. 5, you know? Whereas boys would be like, fuck it, you know? So already 5-year-olds have learned that they need to like appease and please the people around them, you know, which is scary.
And this self-doubts, do you like when you go to a comedy show, do you feel at ease? Do you feel comfortable or even get energy seeing other comedians, chatting with them?
I always, if it's a scene that I'm familiar with, if it's people that I know, then it's really lovely. Because I mean, the thing is, I'm also in a different position where like the scene that I'm in is really, really small, right? So whenever let's say come to Berlin, like I'm an outsider, which means that nobody has any issues with me because I'm not here full time, right? So I don't have enough time to get into conflict of any sort with anybody, right? And I like that aspect of just traveling and doing different things. And it means that I'm a pleasant person to be around. I'm extremely entertaining on stage and off. So, and I am social in the sense that I like these limited contacts with people. So I'm like because I'm Eastern, like I'm from, North and cold and Eastern Europe and stuff. So I identify as like an extroverted introvert. That I love these bursts of energy outside and then I want to go and like eat ice cream in bed and not do anything. So I like that. But if I go to a scene or a place where I haven't performed in before, then I get extremely self-conscious. And unless there is somebody there who will like offer a hand and just like invite me in, I think I come across as very prudish or distant because I'm just like, if I'm not like obviously accepted in, I'm not gonna approach you. Like it's really hard. I try to overcome that and I try to talk to people because I do understand that for a lot of people that just comes across as me being rude or full of myself. But I'm literally just like, if I don't know anything, just like please say hi and like invite me in so that I can be like, oh, thank God, I'm accepted.
I think like previously when people like just not very friendly to me, I took it really bad. Early years I tried to like reach out to send some signal like and when they don't vibrating back, I feel upset. I'm like, why they don't like me? But then over the years, while I'm also maturing, I learned it's like dating. Like it's not like people don't like you, it's just doesn't click. And it's very like you vibe with certain people. The fact that you don't vibe doesn't mean they hate you. It just doesn't work. But for example, in Edinburgh, I don't have any issues because we only have built connection with people we don't like. Those people doesn't click with us, we won't see them again. And I feel very comfortable just be myself. But in Berlin, it's a completely different thing because, if you vibe or not, you always run into each other again and again. So I kind of fear this social pressure or this like imaginary pressure in myself that I have to be friendly with everyone. But on one hand, it's very stressful. Especially like now I'm at a situation that I'm one of the more senior people on the scene.
Yeah.
And when there are always new people starting, there's always new people starting. You can see they want to impress, they want to talk or whatever, but it's like I'm not very good at like once I vibe with someone, it's very easy. But I'm not very good with small talk and like.
Same. And I feel like the more time goes by, I don't improve. I like actually regress in small talk. I'm really bad at that.
Yeah. So the Berlin performing in Berlin, I think for me is like way more stressful than in Edinburgh because this real or unreal expectation I feared, and then the kind of I fear the need that when new people want to like build connection, I feel really bad to not but then they come and go. They are like 20 people every month starting I don't have like the skills or the mental capacity to always be nice. And then on the other hand, now I quit all the projects of producing. Then when I was producing, I had a very bad experience because there are people reach out really friendly, and I thought it's a friendship, and I invest time and energy to get to know the person. And then later I realized they did exactly the same thing to all the major producer. Then I realized, it's not a friendship thing, it's a networking thing. But my life is so busy, I don't have time to network with someone who's new. Like I network on people at the same level who also have project, who also have a portfolio. I thought it's a friendship thing. Then I was kind of like cheated in a situation, wasted my time and energy to network with a person who's almost completely new in this thing. I feel so used. So I also feel really cautious in investing my love, my energy into it, because I feel when you have 20-25 shows a month, you have something people want.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I just don't know what's real, what's not real anymore. So I think that's really stressful for me.
Boundaries are difficult. Yeah, because I feel like just we don't also learn them growing up too well, because nobody does them super well. And it's something like, especially in like the volume of people that you come across, not just in this industry, but if you just like live in an urban environment, and if you have you meet such a high volume of people, that then so much of it becomes very superficial. So, and it's really difficult to then because I also because I come from a culture where if you are accepted, if you are accepted into the fold, right, then you're in forever. You have to do something really horrendous to be cast out. Like if somebody considers you a friend and calls you a friend, then it's a ride or die.
Okay.
Right? Whereas, and then I moved to London, for example, where it's like everybody calls you a friend and nobody means it, right? And Germany's somewhere halfway in the middle, at least in the city sort of environments, I feel. I've had both kind of experiences in Germany. Really positive and also rather negative. So the boundary thing is really difficult. I wanted to say, wait, there's something else that you said that I was like, oh, I really want to address this. What was it? What did you say?
I talk about a feeling. I talk about a feeling used.
Yes.
And have something people want.
Yeah. No, it was before that. Jesus Christ. I really kept it, like, honestly, my brain is a sieve. Like, everything just falls through. I am paying attention. I just forget everything that I have in my mind.
Oh, I talk about feeling like the need of talking with people. There's this expectation.
Yes, this expectation. Oh my god, I felt like I had such a profound thought, and now it's gone. It's just completely gone.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. Maybe it will come back to me.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try to think about it. Cause so the communication. I'm so annoyed.
I also talk about it in Edinburgh. It's better.
Oh yes, Edinburgh. Okay, so that was the thank you. That was the thought. Because I think that Edinburgh, like Edinburgh Fringe or any sort of festival environment, isn't a good like a good comparison in and of itself, because it's a very specific situation, right? And performers that are there, everybody's, I mean, 99% of people are there from somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
They're from different places. So they are already not on their home turf, and they are all there for a very specific aim, which is the same aim to get through the run, to do shows, to do them as well as possible, to try and see what they can develop and what kind of connections, networking wise and all of that stuff, what they can get. So it's a very focused and very singular almost thing that people do, especially if they have multiple projects, right? Yeah. Of course, there are also just people who go to do a bunch of spots and get drunk, like, and that's super cool. I just don't have time for that because it's so expensive to go that I don't, I can't waste that time.
It's not only the money, but also the time.
Yeah. So I think everybody there is in a very similar mindset where it's like, we're doing this, we're professional, we're here to make this happen, and hopefully it all goes well. So in a way it's a really nice way of doing it. It also becomes exhausting because obviously everything happens and everybody's trying to do as much as they possibly can. So as a producer, when you have, I mean, obviously you know this, I also have a mixed bill show there, which means that people will drop out half an hour before a show, or all of these things. But by and large, everybody's like, okay, this is like, this year I was like athletic about it. Like I think I had 5 drinks this entire month there. I was like, I have to wake up at 9 o'clock every morning because I have a show. So I think we can't use that as a comparison tool for like the everyday scene life anywhere else, because obviously here everybody not just only has their day jobs and then doing the working on their craft and any sort of other
try to get laid or try not to break up with their partner or whatever it is, right? So everybody has their everyday this drama, and their parents call them and they're disappointed because you're a comedian, like it's everybody has so much more, whereas if you go somewhere for a month, you put all of this shit aside, and then the first year I was in Edinburgh, I had a mental breakdown halfway through. I have it every year. This year I did it and I didn't get sick. I took so many vitamins, I didn't get sick, and I didn't have a mental breakdown. I didn't cry once this year, which was great, because last year I had a mental breakdown. And do you know what was the catalyst for that? I had a FaceTime with my grandmother, and I wrote a joke about it. It's a whole bit now. I wrote a joke. I had a FaceTime with my grandmother, and instead of, because we were selling out our shows, I was so overwhelmed because we had such a positive reaction to the stuff that we were doing. And instead of talking about that and like praising me or telling, congratulating me for that, my grandmother's question was, am I going to be able to get to your wedding before I die? No. And no, that's what I said. I was like, honestly, no. Like, I don't know, if this is what you're waiting for, get going. Like, I don't go. Like, I don't know. And I was so baffled, because I thought we were on the same page. I thought she was aware that this wasn't a priority of mine. But yeah, and it was completely out of the blue. And she was like, all of your friends have children. And I was like, yeah. And they're miserable. What are you talking about? I have multiple projects. Those are my babies. I think like they're like, for example, like my mom keep telling me, oh, I sacrificed so much for you, whatever, like. But then on the other hand, she also told me, oh, if it's not you, I would have killed myself a long time ago. I was like, I was your antidepressant, okay? Yeah. I had a function for you. Yeah. Don't blame me for your shit. I kept you alive.
Yeah.
And then I think making babies is just making like to have some like high stake there to instead of going therapy, you have something growing here to also like, okay, I can't kill myself, I need to keep going.
Yeah.
And then pass your trauma on them.
I mean, hopefully not. I mean, obviously, like, I'm very happy whenever people have babies, if that's what they've chosen to do, you know. Your body, your choice. I mean, for many people, I feel it's not always the case. No, it isn't, and that's something that we need to talk about. So that's why, because I think ultimately it's also that, you know, obviously I'm glad that I exist, but if I didn't exist, I wouldn't know about it. Yeah. You know, like if my parents had used protection, I wouldn't be any of the wiser. You know, so to be like, oh, you know, like you wouldn't be here, and it's no fine. One would know. Yeah. You know, like it would be absolutely fine because I would never have had consciousness. Yeah. So, and I think that genuinely every single child deserves that their parents wanted to have them around. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the bare minimum to have, you know, at least the best chance of growing into like a genuinely lovely person without having to like overcome so much difficulty. And whenever I meet those people, like they are so well adjusted that I'm just like, fuck you. Then again, the art of comedy would die because people who've had really happy and fulfilling lives are not funny. Yeah. You know, I think it's funny. Like I feel comedians are the best subject to talk about mental health. Because we are the kind of people like already able to talk about it openly without shame, without hiding, because it's our gold mine of like material. I even heard comedians feel sad because they had a good childhood. They feel life is unfair. Their childhood is so good, so they don't have. Resources. I mean, that's another thing. It's like, you know, actually, I'm fine, you know, my child was fine. Like, I didn't know that some people had more money or more things, or like, you know, like I've always been loved. It's the love has been tough, but you know, so like, because sometimes people are just like, oh my God, you really hate your parents. I'm like, no, they're actually like, now that I'm older and I can communicate to them like an adult, I'm like, they're fucking weird, but they're also pretty cool, you know? Yeah. So it's fine, but I think everybody has stuff that's happened to them, but for comedians, why we are able to talk about it, I think, is because in order to observe anything about the world, we need to be so self-critical and just critical of everything around us, and hopefully not get too bitter about it, because otherwise it's going to stop being funny, right? You need to be able to find the funny and the levity and the goodness and all of that stuff in it as well. So you just need to be a really good friend to yourself, because you can't have brutal honesty towards yourself without also holding love for yourself, because once again, otherwise the bitterness is going to be all there is. And so you just have to have like this ability to try and be as objective as possible, to be like, okay, what are the things that we're actually talking about? How can I take it apart and put it back together? Did you feel comedy helps you somehow on processing lots of stuff? Like, also my expectations, for example, like when something really bad happens, I would think, oh, okay, one day maybe some jokes will come out of it. Which I don't think is always the best thing to do, but it is. But it's like easier for me to accept it happened. That's a silver lining. Yeah. Like, this might be a great bit one day. I feel like for example, in the past, if something really, really shitty happened, I would be angry. I would be thinking about how could I
could have done better to avoid this and all kinds of self-blaming. But now when something really bad happens, I'm like, wait till later.
Yeah, it's very much the sort of main character, and you're like, this is gonna be a great chapter in my memoirs. This is gonna be an interesting field of study one day. Yeah.
And so what ended with the call with grandma?
Nothing. I just told her that no, if she wants to, she can die.
And what she said?
And she was just like, ugh, whatever. She accepted it. She, of course. Yeah, she's a product of her time. She rolled over. Yeah. And
now, how do you rate your mental health?
What's the scale?
From 1 to 10.
1 to 10. Today it's like an 8.5.
8.5.
Yeah, today is like a really solid day.
And are you in?
I mean, then again, it's not even noon yet, so let's see. Yeah.
Are you in a good batch now, lately?
Yes. Well, I mean, it's heavily influenced by the fact that I've been able to do a bunch of really cool shows. That there's interest in my work, all of that stuff. So if anything goes bad or if anything like that dries up, then obviously I'm gonna be in a rut again.
Let's say 365 days a year. How many days, like what's the percentage of days you wake up feel it's a good day? You're looking forward to the day.
I don't think I ever wake up and like, this is gonna be a great day. I'm not Lizzie McGuire. Like, what the fuck? I wake up and I'm like, how grey is it outside? I live in Germany, you know? Is it raining? Do I have to go and do like a menial minimum wage job to pay rent? All of those things. I think in the last year, I would say 70% has been pretty decent.
Wow.
Yeah, the last year has been solid. Like, really, I don't want to jinx it. The last year has been solid, but then again, we are only now getting to the dark part of the year.
Yeah.
So let's see. You never know, because I also always have this very fatalist voice, like somewhere at the back of my head of being like, this went too well. The next thing is gonna be shit. Like the same with spots. Like this show was really good. You're gonna bomb now for a week. It's like if things start going too well, I get immediately suspicious.
But I think it's also a good mindset. Like for example, when I was in Edinburgh, like I statistically I found out I have like 4 shows I have to do per day, so I know
at least one.
At least one will suck for sure. Like I sometimes in the morning show I have horrible. Then the next show is the 1 hour later is the best show ever. And then after a while I realize it's really out of my control. I just have to accept that. Statistically, something will go wrong.
For sure. And then how nice is it to get the shit thing away and done with the first thing in the morning? To be like, it's only uphill from here.
Yeah. And I think it's good to know it will go bad. Because that's how life is. And I always want to think about like the trees outside. Like even then, their cycle. There's a few months in the year they bloom. They are beautiful. Then in the winter, everything fall down. It's part of life.
This sounds like ancient Chinese. A proverb is coming.
And nobody can have a life. It's always good. And a life which is always good is also boring.
Yeah.
So I try to accept, like in the past when it's a bad show, I feel really upset. But now I'm trying to think, if you want to always only have good shows, then the only solution is don't do comedy. End at a good show and never do it again. Yeah,
if you only want to be good at something, just don't do anything because it's never gonna happen. Also, actually, very important for me. Is where I am in my cycle. Okay, so today is also a very good day because I'm ovulating, so I look very symmetrical, and so my breasts are very perky, and I feel on top of the world.
So it's like if you have sex, then you have a baby.
Yeah, so I'm definitely not gonna have any. Don't worry. yeah, I know, because if today was like a PMS day and like 1 thing in the morning, like you know, like the water wouldn't have been hot enough in the shower, I would be like, I'm gonna kill everybody.
And next question is like, do you have days you wake up you just feel why I'm staying alive? What's the point of everything? I don't want to move. How can I power through? Do you have those days?
Yes, I don't have suicidal thoughts though. I do.
You
have
never
to say.
like not even like just like ideation, just like a fantasy. You never have it
of dying. Not in the last few years. No, I think I definitely had them in my teens.
You don't even just have like just passing thoughts.
Oh, like an intrusive thought, yes. Like as in like what would happen if I stepped in front of the train? Like yeah, of course. But that's my brain checking in of like you're still alive, bitch. Okay, fine. No, I don't. Yeah, sometimes when things get really tough, I'm just like, okay, you know, if things are really bad, I can just die. Like that's fine. But I don't have I don't have ideations. No, which is
ideation is different than plan. So,
true. No. I know. I understand that. But no, I also like the last few years. I want to say okay, maybe a year and a half, maybe a year.
But those passing thoughts, they are also part of.
Well, the intrusive thoughts, they come, yeah, but everybody, literally every single person gets intrusive thoughts. Yeah.
I saw the only depressed people.
No, like the thing of like, oh, when you're driving and you're like, what would happen if I like turned really fast? Or like, what would happen if like I jumped off this bridge right now? That is your fight or flight reflex being like, oh no, we're still good, Okay. At least that's how a psychologist friend of mine explained it to me.
So when you wake up, when you have those bad days.
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you have some tricks or do you have some routine to get through the day?
Like, honestly, whenever I can, like, I need rotting days, right? So if there's a day, I normally, like, ideally 1 day a week, at least once every 2 weeks, I have a day where I'm just like, I'm not going to get dressed. And I just stay in bed and I eat breakfast in bed and I order in lunch and I eat it in bed. And I just like and I'm very unapologetic about it. So
how do you frame those days? It's like my lazy day, or you're like so how do you frame? It's like
I don't think that it's lazy. I'm trying to not use the word lazy in because I used to think that I was incredibly lazy, and then I found out that no, those were depressive episodes where my brain literally would be out of balance and unable to function. So and because I come from a culture where being hardworking and constantly active is very, very highly sought after. So I don't. I try not to think of lazy. I genuinely think of this is my rest day. This is my it's sort of radical rest. So, I'm radically not doing anything.
Yeah, those are also my questions. So do you have a for me? I like once a while, maybe once a week, or sometimes it's like a whole weekend in 2 weeks, or maybe like a whole week in a month. Sooner or later it will happen. I just feel like I lost all the willpower, self-motivation, and I can't do anything, just watching TV but smoking weed. And then if I look back, I always see it as way, maybe it's my, I don't know how to, I try to learn the white people way, to every weekend do active resting, go to watch a movie, hiking, go eat at
fuck hiking. Sorry about Germany. Fuck hiking.
I like it. Anyway, and then
I like a good walk, but if I need specialized shoes for said walk, fuck off. No, absolutely not.
Really? Yeah. Not even in a really beautiful forest in the autumn day?
Yeah, that's a walk. That's not a hike.
Oh, okay.
And come on, 2K tops. I don't need more than that.
Okay.
Come on. Not weird.
Anyway,
I'm a fat woman, and I'm. I don't want to do more than that. No, I like walking. Yes, and I cycle and stuff. Okay, what was the question?
So
Like, so you try to be active.
Yeah, but sooner or later it would happen. This kind of collapsing day. At the beginning, I was very self-criticizing.
Same.
Then at the end, I look back, I realized, for example, it happened last weekend. Last week, almost a whole week, I barely did anything.
Nice.
And then I look back, I realized, wait a moment.
Yeah.
The last 1 month, I was taking German course. During the day, then in the evening, prepared for the exam. I studied intensively to pass the B2.
Yeah.
And immediately as it finished, I expect myself immediately jump into the C1 exam preparation. After that, I look back, I'm like, wait a moment, maybe it's just not realistic to expect myself to work constantly.
Yes, of
course. Because one day after the exam, I let myself rest for 1 day. I went to sauna. And the day after, I'm like, back in game, now C1,
yeah.
And I'm like, maybe it's just I have too high of expectation to myself.
Yeah.
And the collapsing is actually a natural part of my physical and the mental needs.
Yeah. And I think it is, and we live in a society that glorifies this constant hustle. I read somewhere, it was sort of like a semi-comedic kind of thing that when you look at sort of like, let's say office work, right? So it's relatively passive, you sit and you know, type away and stuff. But that medieval peasants who lived in serfdom, in servitude, had to work their land and then, you know, give a bunch of the stuff that they grew to their landlords, right? Yeah. They worked fewer days a year than an average person now, and like by a considerable amount, because even then the powers that may be were like, okay, in order for these people not to die and make us wealthier and grow all this food, they need to have more rest. And so, you know, they gave them days off and they had these days off, where of course they did like stuff at home and blah, blah, blah. But they worked considerably less than a modern person does in like, you know, 40 hours.
Also,
week,
there
right?
was the seasonality.
Exactly. So the way of being like, people have always worked to the bone. Like, no, you're talking about slavery and that was really fucking bad. Yeah. You know, like people die when they work too much. Genuine. And it's not just physical work, it's then also the mental work. If you work yourself too hard, you're gonna have serious ramifications to it. So I think the fact that we don't, and like, of course, everybody rests differently. And some people really love being super active. Like my father, like his ideal day off is going windsurfing for like 8 hours. Like, it's insane, you know, but he loves it. Cool. Good for him. Some people really, really want to be super active. I am more of a sloth. I like my calm. I like sitting in a cafe and watching people and eating cake and like all that stuff. I like these things and I take time to do them because I know that they make me happier and better rested. Yeah. So, but also with the rotting days, right? There's a limit to the rotting. It's good to do the rotting, but only until you feel like I need something else. So normally I finish a rotting day by like going on a walk, even if it's just that in my pajamas and I put a coat over it and it's dark outside. But I go for a walk, I get fresh air, and then I'm like, okay, this is.
Is it hard to, like, when you are rotting? Is it hard to have the willpower to just go out for a short walk?
Oh yeah. If it's also in the middle of like a more depressing time or episode, yes, it's incredibly difficult. But I've recognized in myself that I need to do that because otherwise the rotting is gonna become a problem.
So when this rotting happens, now you are in a phase that you embrace it, to accept it, and you know it's a part of the process. Yeah. So you don't.
I basically take out time to do like microdose rotting, so that I don't get to a point where I can't get out of bed for a week. Yeah.
Okay. And wow, that's great. Yeah. Okay, last question. What's your favorite comedy special?
That's a really hard question.
Yeah.
I don't watch enough of them. I should watch more because I sometimes feel guilty, but at the same time I'm like, then I don't accidentally steal people's jokes if I don't watch them. Yeah. You know? I can't answer that question. Ali Wong's latest special was great. I love that. That was one of the more recent ones that I watched. And I'm currently in the middle of a clowning comedy special, which I don't remember the name of, but it's about a sex robot, and that's really fun.
If you want to recommend one special,
to whom though? Like, what's the audience?
To this audience who's depressed.
Who's depressed?
And
mentally challenged. I don't think I can say that. Joe Lycett's special from last year, I think, that was very, very funny.
Which how do you spell the name?
Joe Lycett.
Yeah.
Lycett. But I can't remember what the special was for. But it's a really good special. It's visually very colorful and very beautiful, and very well done.
Which platform you saw it?
You have to buy it on his website.
Oh, okay.
But it's like best like £10 you can spend.
Wow, you talk like a white woman. It's just £10.
No, I said the best £10 you can spend.
Okay,
I didn't say it was just £10 because, excuse me, £10 is like 4 coffees at like a bakery.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's worth it.
Cool, I'll check it out. Then, bye-bye. Stay alive, stay healthy. And don't listen to your grandma unless she's wise. Bye-bye.